Hello students, today we are going to discuss about classification. It is a part of module 4. Very large databases are becoming the norm in today's world of big data. Imagine a database with terabytes of data. If you take Facebook, it crunches 600 terabytes of new data every single day. The primary challenge of big data is how to make sense of it. The challenge is not only the volume, also diversity in the type of data. That means data can be structured, unstructured, semi-structured, like that. Consider audio and video data, social media data, posts, 3D data, geographical data. This kind of data is not easily categorized or organized. To meet this challenge, a range of automatic methods for extracting useful information has been developed. Among them is classification. An analyst's goal is to create a set of classification rules that answer a questions, make a decision, or a predict behavior. So here in classification, a set of training data is developed that contains a certain set of attributes as well as the likely outcome. The job of the classification algorithm is to discover how how that set of attributes reaches its conclusion. Say for example, a bank want to offer a credit card to a customer, but they want to know whether the customer is a proper customer or they don't or not, whether they can offer the credit card to that customer or not. In that case, they use set of parameters like name, age, gender, annual income. Based on this set of parameters value, the outcome will be decided. That outcome is whether to give the credit card or not. Okay, in this, for predicting, okay, the customer is a right customer to offer a credit card. In such situation, to make the decision or to predict the outcome, in such situations classification is used. So in coming slides we will be learning in detail about the classification concepts. To define classification, classification is the task of learning a target function f that maps each attribute set X to one of the predefined class label Y. I'll explain in detail in the next coming slides. The target function is also known as a classification model. A classification model is useful for two purposes, that is for descriptive modeling, another is for predictive modeling. What is this descriptive modeling? Here, a classification model can serve as an explanatory tool, that is description, explanatory tool between objects of different classes. Say for example, it would be useful for both biologists, and other to have a descriptive model that summarizes the data. Okay, say for example, what features define a vertebrate as a mammal, reptile, bird, fish, or amphibian. Say, for example, if the features are like this: body temperature, skin color, gives birth, aquatic creature, aerial creature, okay, as legs. So, if based on this set of attributes, values, okay, they can find out the feature values, they can find out whether the given vertebrate is a mammal or a reptile or a bird or a fish, like this. This we called as a descriptive model. Predictive model. Predictive modeling means what? Prediction, making a prediction. Weather forecasting is a prediction. Okay. So here a classification model can also be used to predict the class label of unknown records. So as I told, weather prediction. Tomorrow is it rainy or not? Okay. Based on the features, they will predict whether it is a rainy day or a sunny day. So that is comes under the predictive modeling. Okay. So here the classification model can be treated as a black box that automatically assigns a class label when presented with the attribute set of unknown record. So classification techniques are most suited for predicting or describing data sets with binary or nominal categories. They are less effective for ordinal categories because they do not consider the implicit order among the categories. So we discussed what is binary data, nominal data, yes or no? Okay. So we discussed ordinal data, all this. So classification techniques are suitable for binary and nominal data than the ordinal data because here there is no preference for the order. Let us take an example to understand more about the classification technique. A classification technique is a systematic approach to building classification models from an input data sets. Here in the classification, it is a two-step analysis. First step is learning, another step is classification. First step is learning means here the training data set will be fed into the model to make the model to learn. Means we are making the model to learn from the labeled, okay, labeled data set or records. That means here for this set of values, this will be the answer. For this set of value, this will be the answer. For this kind of set of value, this will be the answer. We are just training it. If these are the possible, if this type of values come, this is the possible answer. Like this, we are learning. We are making the model to learn from the labeled training data set. Once the model is learned, to check whether it is correct or not, it is accurately predicting or not, okay, we go to the second step, that is classification. Okay, the model is used to classify the new data. That means we are giving the test data here. You can see here class label is having already the value. Here the class label is not having the value. That means what? It is a this value has to be predicted by the model correctly. If it is correctly predicting, then the model is a good model or a accurate model. It has to predict for this set of values. It has to predict the class label as yes or no. So if it is predicting yes, then if it is correctly, if it is exactly same, okay, actual value of this set of values is yes or yes means, then it is predicting correctly. So in the next slide, I'll show you one simple example. Okay. You can see here. This is a simple example which is used to illustrate the classification model. So here we have taken a past label data. Past label data means the model is trained to predict whether a animal is a dog or a cat based on the features. What is feature here? Ears, eyes, snot, legs, okay, like this. So based on the features, the pass label means there will be given a set of features. Based on that features, the training data set will tell if these features are there. Okay, long here, okay, features are there, and the short here means it is cat, long here means it is dog. So based on this feature, okay, the model will be trained that how the cat is, how the dog is. Then we are testing it by giving a new set of features. So based on the training or based on the experience, it has to predict whether the new set of data is a cat or a dog. So we are given this set of features. We are passed the feature of cat. If it is predicting the cat, okay, predicting the value as a cat, then the model is trained properly. The model is a correct model. Okay, like this. So in the classification model, we will be having two sets of data set. One is training data set, another is a test data set. Training data set is you will be fed to the model to train the model. Okay, that is for a given set of attributes, what will be the class label? The class label will be known in the training set. Okay, to measure the accuracy of the model, we use the another set data set, that is test set. So whether if it is predicting properly, then the model is accurate. So next, how we will come to know that classification model is doing its job correctly or not? Okay, that is by the evaluation of the performance of the classification model. So the classification model is evaluated for its performance based on the count of test records correctly and incorrectly predicted by the model. These counts are tabulated in the table form that we called as a confusion matrix. What this confusion matrix do? It provides the information needed to determine how well the classification model performs. Okay, you can see this table, the confusion matrix for two class problem. Two class problem means it is basically binary, yes, no, true, false, like that. So you can see here actual class, predicted class. Actual class is taken from the test data set. Okay, predicted class means it is from the this is from the training data set and this is from the test data set. So actual class, class 1, class 0. Here predicted class also class 1, class 0. What actually it says F11, F10, F01, F00. What actually it means? So here you remember actual class means the correct value. Predicted means what the model has predicted. Okay. So here we called as actual value is also 1 and predicted value is also 1. That means what we call this as a true positive. Okay, true positive. So ith value, jth value, Fij. Fij means here, since it is a binary classification, it will be having only two values, 1 and 0. So F01. F01, what actually F01 indicates? F01 is the number of records from class 0, okay, incorrectly predicted as a class 1. Incorrectly predicted as a class 1. Actual class it is saying the record should be belonging to the class 0. But the prediction result saying that the record is belonging to class 1. Okay, that is what? False positive. We call it as a false positive. That means here actually it is 0. But after predicting the model, it's saying it is 1. Okay, it is incorrectly predicting the value. Here both are correct. Actual value is also 1, predicted value is also 1. True positive, both are correct. If you take here, actual value is 1, but it is predicting as 0. Okay, true negative, it is true negative. Here false negative means actual value is also 0, predicted value is also 0. So it is predicting correctly. So this, if you take diagonally, this diagonal is correctly predicted, and if this part, that is F0 and F10, are incorrectly predicted. Okay, although confusion matrix provides the information needed to determine how well classification model performs, summarizing this information with a single number would make it more convenient to compare the performance of different models. This can be done using a performance matrix such as accuracy, okay, which is defined by this values. Okay, so what is accuracy? Accuracy is nothing but number of correct predictions. As I told, what are the correct prediction? F11 and F00. So total number of correct prediction divided by total number of prediction. Okay, number of correct prediction divided by total number of prediction we called as a accuracy. So F11 plus F00 whole divided by F11 plus F10 plus F01 plus F00. This is actually the accuracy. Equivalently, the performance of the model can be expressed in terms of its error rate, okay, which is given by the following equation. So error rate means what? Wrong predictions. So what is the formula or the equation? Error rate is equal to number of wrong prediction divided by total number of predictions. Okay, that is equal to F10 plus F01 wrong predictions whole divided by total number of prediction F11 plus F10 plus F01 plus F00. So most classification algorithms seek models that attain the highest accuracy or equivalently the lowest error rate when applied to the test data. Let us see some of the examples of classification model. So it is used to predict the tumor cells as benign or malignant. It also used in classifying credit card transactions as a fraudulent customer or legitimate customer. Classification is also used in classifying secondary structures of protein as alpha helix, beta helix, or random coil. It is also used to classify the documents, that is categorizing news stories as finance, weather, entertainment, sports, and so on. These are some areas where the classification techniques have used. Now let us discuss some of the classification techniques. In the previous slide I told you about the application. In this slide we'll just see what are some of the classification techniques which we will be going in detail in the further slides. Classification techniques are decision tree induction, rule-based methods, memory-based reasoning, neural networks, naive-based and Bayesian belief network, support vector machines. These are some of the algorithms which comes under classification technique. So the most important one is this one, decision tree based method, or most popularly used decision tree induction, rule based support vector machines, Okay, artificial neural network. These are the some of the uh, techniques most commonly used in the machine learning field. So, what is decision tree? Before moving into depth into the decision tree classification technique, we'll discuss what is decision tree is. Decision tree induction method or decision tree induction is the method of learning the decision trees from the training set. The training set consists of attributes and the class label. Applications of decision tree include astronomy, financial analysis, medical diagnosis, manufacturing and production. In this example, the model is trained using a classification technique called decision tree induction. So, training data set has been fed into the model by using a decision tree techniques, which will be tested for the accuracy using the test data. Let us see. Okay, in this slide, let us consider the example for decision tree. So let us consider this uh, training data set. Just a minute, I'll use the pen. So training data set. So here, if you observe, we have a set of attribute values which will be used to predict the value of a class label. This is class label. Cheat is a class label. Then we have the attribute like refund, marital status, tax income. Okay, taxable income. Here we have refund as a categorical attribute. Why? Because it is having two different category, that is yes and no. Okay. Then marital status, it is also category. Either a customer is single or married or the customer is divorced. Any of the status the customer is. So again it is category. This is binary because it is having only two category, that is yes or no. This is multivariate. That means the category is having multiple values. This is three more than two values, that is single, married, divorced. Taxable income, it is continuous. Okay, continuous. That means it is having a range from that is 75k to or 70k to 125k or 220k, like this range. Okay, so it is, that's why it is continuous. Then the class is the class label. So class label, it is says that, okay, so class label. That means this actually this is the column that the class label for training data it will be provided. For the test data, this will be disabled so that the model has to predict it. So here we have like this. So if you see this data set based on the past transactions, okay, based on the past transaction, this input will be taken. Okay, so if you say, if you let us consider the refund, a customer refund status, whether the customer will pay the amount regularly or not. Okay, so refund, the customer pays regularly and is single. Okay, is not married yet, and his taxable income is 125k, good only. So that means what, he is not a cheat. Okay, he will pay the credit card amount regularly. So it cheat means what, whether he will is a fraudulent customer or a legitimate customer, to detect that. So from the past experience, if the customer is paying the amount regularly, that is yes, he is not married and his taxable income is 125, then he is a good customer. That means he will not cheat. So here refund amount is no, he is not regularly paying the amount and is married, okay, and his taxable income is 100k, then he is also not a cheat. That means what? Is married. Okay, due to some reason he would have not been paid regularly. But he is married. He is more responsible, and his taxable income is also okay, good. So he is not a cheat. So he is categorized in the not cheat category. So if we take like this, okay, if we take like this, coming to this part, okay, from the past experience of the transaction, it would have come to this conclusion that if the customer is not paying the any amount or the loan whatever he has taken regularly, he is not refunding properly, no, and his marital status is divorced, okay, and taxable income is 95K, then the person can be a cheat. Okay, so from the past experience, they have drawn this, from the past transaction, they would have drawn this conclusion whether the customer is a cheat or not. Okay, so after this, then this is the training data given. So what we have to do, we have to feed into a model. So from this training data set, in the previous slide, I showed you that we are using a decision tree classification technique. Okay, so we can draw the decision tree. So what is this decision tree? Decision tree will be having a nodes. Okay, it will be having a nodes. So here if you observe this, a decision tree is a flowchart tree-like structure that is made from training set tuples, okay, or training records. The data set is broken down into smaller subset and is present in the form of a nodes of a tree. A tree structure has a root node, internal node, and the internal node, or we can say it as a decision node, and the branches and the leaf nodes. Okay, leaf node. So I repeat, okay, I repeat. Decision tree is a flowchart tree like structure that is made from the training set tuples or a records. So the tree structure has a root node, internal or decision making node, leaf node, and the branches. So root node does not have any incoming edges and zero or more outgoing edges, okay, or branches I can say. Internal nodes, each of which has exactly one incoming edge or branch and two or more outgoing edges. Leaf node. Leaf node, whichever it is given in the blue color, that is we call it as a leaf node, each of which has exactly one incoming edge and no outgoing edges or a branch. Okay, so in a decision tree, each leaf node is assigned a class label. So whatever you see here, class label, this is a class label. So okay, each leaf node, this, each leaf node is nothing but a, each leaf node is nothing but a terminal class label. Okay, class label. Clear? This is are the class label. Yes, no, yes, no. So the non-terminal nodes, okay, the non-terminal nodes which include the root and other internal nodes contain attribute test condition, okay, attribute test conditions to separate records that have different characteristics. Okay, so here we have used the decision tree model, okay, to train the model. So here first what we do, first we'll take the attribute as a root attribute, root node. So one of the attribute has to, because when we say tree it will be always beginning from the, when we take the tree data structure, it will always begin with the root, okay, top down approach. It is a top down approach. So here let us consider first the root node as a refund. So refund is categorical attribute. So it will be having yes, no. Okay, yes, no. So what happens here? Here we are taken the branches. if the refund is yes, if the person or if the customer does the refund, yes. If the customer does not do the refund, no. Okay, then if the customer from this, okay, it can decide that if the refund yes, okay, he always refund yes, then the customer is okay, is not a cheat, is not a cheat. So let us take this example here. Refund is yes, refund is yes, refund is yes. Okay, in this three example, if you see, the cheat is no, the cheat is no, and the cheat is no. So straight away we can say the if the person if the customer refund is yes, then is not a cheat. The next no. No means here there again. Okay, there again. No means there can be a dilemma that there can be always it is not yes no. Okay, yes or no. So there is a some for no. If you take this slide, for no there is again a yes. Here no, again no value is only there. Okay, so if we have to further decide if it is refund is no, then we'll check one more attribute called marital status. If the marital status, if the person or the customer is single or divorced, then we have to check with the taxable income. If the taxable income is less than 80K, then not cheat. Okay, is the person is not a cheat. Okay, or if the it is greater than 80K, the person may cheat. Okay, so here marital status, if the person is married, you know, cheat, like this. The model decision tree, okay, says that if the person refund is yes, okay, is not at all a cheat. If the person refund is no and marital status is married, then is not a cheat. If the person he does the refund irregularly, and if he is single or divorced and his salary is less than 80K, then is not a cheat. Whereas if he is greater than 80K, and then he is a cheat. Like this, it is coming to a conclusion. So the leaf node gives a conclusion or an outcome. Okay, so this is the decision tree. So we are splitting the attributes. So now we'll see the another type of decision tree. That means there could be more than one tree that fits the same data. Here we are differently the tree as the root is taken as a marital status. Okay, if the marital status, if you say, if you take for married, say here married, no, cheat, no, married, not cheat, married, not cheat, married, not cheat. So you can straight away say that if the marital status is married, then the customer is not a cheat. Okay, if the marital status is single or divorce, because single here S is there. Okay, if you see here, sorry, single here it is no, or for this single here it is no, for single here it is yes. Yes and no, both the things are there. So we have to further take a decision. Again, we'll split up. In refund, if marital status is single and refund is yes, then the customer is not a cheat. If the marital status is single or divorced and the refund is no, then the tax income is less than, okay, taxable income is less than 80K, then no cheat. Greater than 80K, the person may be or the customer may be cheat. So if you see here, what we have done till now, that we have trained the model using a classifier called decision tree induction. Okay, the model is using the decision tree induction. So here we using this training data set with the set of attributes and the class label. So you have to remember that in the training data set, the class label will be there. Okay, that means for this feature, the for this features, the class label is No. For this set of attribute values, the class label is no. For this set of attribute values, the class label is yes. Okay, we are trying. We are trying the model. That's why decision tree. So we are asking the model a new set of attribute values to detect or to predict the class label. So here we are asking the model. Okay, we are asking the model to predict if the refund is no and marital status okay is single and attribute value is 70K is the class label uh, is yes or no. So we are asking we are asking that then the duty of the model is to predict this yes or no. So we are applying model for the deduction, that means test set. So here this is given. This is the tree we constructed. Let us assume. Okay, starting from the root, it is top-down approach. Okay, decision tree is a top-down approach. So here we started with the refund. What is the new thing we have to check? This is the new set of data for which we have to predict the class label using a decision tree. Okay, decision tree constructed. So refund is no. So we'll start with the root table. Here this branch is goes for S. If the refund is yes, we have to go this direction. Here the refund is given is no. So we have to move in this direction. The refund is no. Okay. And the marital status is married. Okay. Then here only we are coming. Okay, then no need to check the taxable amount. It is directly we can say it is no. Okay, no. So here refund is no, marital status is single, and the tax income is greater than 80K means the customer may be cheat. Okay, like this. Like this, the answer for this will be no. Okay, graphically I'm showing this. Then so assign cheat to no. This slide shows there are many algorithms which is used to build the decision tree. Okay, there are exponentially many decision tree that can be constructed from given set of attributes. Okay, the some of the algorithms actually are Hunt algorithm, CART, ID3 or C4.5 algorithm, Sleek, okay, Sprint. These are some of the algorithms which comes under decision tree induction. So this algorithm usually employ greedy strategy that grows a decision tree by making a series of locally optimum decisions such about which attribute to use for partitioning the data. Okay, so one such algorithm is the Hans algorithm. Okay, which will be using the greedy strategies. Okay, which is the basis of many existing decision tree, induction trees like ID3, C4.5, CART, like that. So let us discuss about the Hans algorithm. So here in Hans algorithm, a decision tree is grown in a recursive fashion by partitioning the training records into successively purer subsets. Okay, like let dt. Okay, so let dt be the set of training records that are associated with node t and y is equal to y1, y2, yn or yc. Okay, so here we have two steps. What is dt? dt is nothing but training records that is associated with the node t, and y be the class label. So what is y? Y is the class label. So here it is Hans algorithm is actually a recursive algorithm. Okay, there are two steps in Hans algorithm. So first step is If all the record in dt belongs to the same class yt, then t is the leaf node labeled as yt. Okay, two step it is. First, if all the if a dt contains record that belong to the same class. Okay, as I showed you before that, if the customer, okay, if the customer refund is yes, here it is yes, here it is yes, and here it is yes. Okay, if you see the class label for every yes, the no cheat, no cheat, and here also no cheat. Yes or no? So that's what it is telling. If dt contains record that belong to same class, okay, it all belongs to a class label called no. Okay, class label called no. Then the t is a leaf node labeled as yt, and t will be the leaf node. Okay, that t is nothing but the record. Okay, a node t, in t is nothing but the node, that is that particular attribute. Okay, t is nothing but particular attribute. So here next is that if dt is empty set, okay, if dt is empty set, then t is a leaf node labeled by default class yd. Okay, dt is an empty set. So next we have if dt contains record that belong to more than one class. Okay, if you see marital status, okay, single, here also single, here also single. So here it is having class label no also, and the class label s also. Okay, that's what. If dt contains record that belong to more than one class, use an attribute test to split, okay, the data into smaller subset. Recursively apply the procedure to each subset. That's what I showed in the previous example decision tree. First, we'll take one attribute. Okay, then if that attribute is having two different class label like s or no, both s also is there, both no is also is there. Then we have to take next attribute value, and we keep on recursively apply the procedure to each subset. Okay, so this is about the Hunt algorithm. Okay, discuss with an example. So here, first Hunt algorithm, you should remember that it is a bottom-up approach. In the decision tree, it is a root from root we used to start. That is top-down approach. Here, bottom-up approach. So first, we'll start with a leaf node, that is don't cheat. That is no. Okay, don't cheat. Don't cheat is a leaf node. Okay, don't cheat is a leaf node. Next, what we have to do, we will take the first attribute refund. Okay, if you take the refund value yes, don't cheat. If the refund value is no, okay, if the refund value is no, if you take the first two records, again don't cheat. Okay, so again no, don't cheat. Okay, yes, don't cheat. If you take yes and no, the maximum number is don't cheat. So refund, if the customer refunds the amount regularly, yes means he is not a cheater. The refund is not regularly paying the refunding the amount, but still it is said don't cheat because based on the parameter. Because you can see here attribute value no. Here also cheat is no. Here no, no. Okay, then no, no. So no, no. Like this it is there. So maximum taken into consideration of maximum value, it is also if refund is no, then again it is not a cheat. But there is a dilemma again. No can have yes also. Okay, here no, the cheat is yes. Here no, the cheat is no. That if you observe yes and no, two values are there. Okay, so for yes, okay, refund yes, there is always no, no, no. Okay, so no need to worry, don't cheat. When we take the branch as no, there is a chance that no cheater, not cheater. Okay, so there are two values are there. So it is kept. Here we have to take the further decision. So we have to take one more attribute value to decide. So here again, when we say that refund is no, this is yes. Okay, refund is yes means don't cheat, because for every instance the record refund for every instance of refund is equal to yes, then it is the class label is no. Okay, when refund is equal to no, the class label it is having either s value or no value. So we'll take that. Okay, uh, we will again we just take the internal node and we will just do the branches, that is single, diverse, married. So here the customer refunding the customer refund is no, the marital status is married, then don't cheat. If the single and diverse, then it is a cheater. So broadly, one more attribute we have, that is refund, no, marital status, single, taxable income less than 80K. Okay, if the taxable income is less than 80K, then if we go through this attribute values, then it says the person is not a cheat. So greater than or equal to 80K, okay, then the person can be cheat. Okay. So in this example, we discussed that based on this node, root node and the internal node, we can come to the conclusion whether the customer is a cheat or not a cheat. Now let us discuss some design issues of decision tree induction. A learning algorithm for inducing decision tree must address the issues such as how should the training records be split? Okay, because we have a tree, so how does the training record should be split? Say for example, I have a root node, so root node may be marital status, then the next node, which is this, whether it should be refund or whether it should be taxable amount, like this. So how should the training records be split? So here in this step, each recursive steps of tree growing process must select an attribute test condition to divide the records into smaller subset. That means marital status. So single or divorced, okay, married or divorced, like that. The split has to be considered. So to implement this step, the algorithm must provide a method for specifying the test condition, okay, for different attribute types, as well as the objective measure for evaluating the goodness of each test condition, or for it is correct. Then again you can just give if income tax payable is greater than 80K, okay, greater than 80K, less than 80K, okay, less than 80K, then how it is. So that is how to specify the attribute test condition. Test condition is important concept here. Okay, next, how to determine the best split. Should I start from the refund or should I start from the marital status? Then here the split should be the once I take the refund as a root node, then this should be income tax or it should be a marital status. I have to check it out, so that I can get the best decision. The outcome will be more accurate. Okay, the leaf node will be more accurate. This is root node, internal node, and leaf node. Leaf nodes are the class labels, so the leaf nodes are the outcomes. So how correctly I will split the attribute, okay, that like that the accuracy of the decision tree will be there. So next step is, how should the splitting procedure stop? Okay, how should the splitting procedure stop? Stopping condition is needed to terminate the tree growing process. Stop means what? We are terminating the tree growing process. So a possible strategy is to continue expanding a node until either all the records belong to the same class or all the records have identical attribute values. So in the previous example, I just showed you that refund is yes. Okay, refund. If the root node we are taken as a refund, okay, if the root node we are taken as a refund, then it is yes. Okay, then always we'll get the test condition is yes, the refund is always yes, the person pays the amount regularly, then the leaf node will be yes. No, that means no cheat. Okay, the leaf node will be no. That means if the person is regularly paying the amount or paying back the amount, then the customer is a non-cheater. Okay, that's why it a leaf node will be no. Okay, so here that is the stopping condition. Here I stopped it. Okay, here I no need to take one more internal node here. So all for every value of refund, for every s value of refund, the always the result or the outcome is no means I can directly give the leaf node. I can stop here. Here the splitting. Okay, that's what we are telling. That a possible strategy is to continue expanding a node, okay, until either all the record belongs to the same class, that is the class is here no, okay, class, or all records have identical attribute values. Although both conditions are sufficient to stop any decision tree induction algorithm, other criteria can be imposed to allow the tree growing procedure to terminate earlier only. Okay. So next we have how to specify the test condition. So it depends on the types of attributes. So decision tree induction algorithms must provide a method for expressing an attribute test condition and its corresponding outcomes for different attribute types. So we have different types of attributes like binary attribute, nominal attribute, ordinal attribute, and continuous attribute. Okay, then next one more type of specifying the test condition is the number of ways to split. Okay, well, the number of ways to split means what? This is our root node means the root node will be having two branches, or the root node will be having more than two branches. Okay, so it is based on this split. This is we called as a two split. This we called as a two split. How the test condition, because on the branch we'll give the test condition. This is root node, this is internal node, and this internal node will be having for the leaf node. Okay, leaf node is our class label, that is final answer, final outcome. Okay, and internal node is it will be split. Okay, then we will be giving the condition that married, okay, income greater than 80K, okay, then not cheat, like this we will be giving the decision. So here depends on the number of ways to split, whether it is a two-way split or a multi-way split. So two-way split means every node will be having two branches, okay, or two outgoing edges. Whereas here multi-way split means every node will be having more than two outgoing edges. Okay, here three edges are there. That's why multi-way split. Okay, we'll see one by one the example. So depending on the type of attribute, that is binary attribute, how the test condition will be. So conditions are like this. This is the test condition for binary attribute. So if I take the body temperature, okay, warm blooded or cold blooded. Okay, so the test condition for binary attribute generates two potential outcomes. Okay, potential outcomes. So here, when we are taking the node as body temperature, so it will be having two outcomes: warm blood or cold blood. Okay. So one more example, if I want to give you here, is that uh, gender. Okay, suppose you are given the binary attribute that gender. Okay, gender we can just give as male, female. Okay, male, female. Okay, gender. So this type of attribute we called as a binary attribute, where it is having two possible values. Okay, this is the test condition for the binary attributes. Next, we have a nominal attribute. Nominal attribute means what? Basically, it is a category. Okay, so here it is given marital status. So marital status, if you have seen that database set which I showed in the previous slides, marital status can have three different value, that is single, divorced, and the married. Okay, so here, since the nominal attribute can have many values, okay, its test condition can be expressed in two ways. This is one way and this is another way. Okay, so here I have given B. So multi-way split, binary split. Okay, so here what it is that for a multiple split, okay, for multiple split, the number of outcomes depends on the number of distinct value for the corresponding attribute. Yes or no? So marital status have three distinct value, so the outcomes will be three distinct outcomes. Okay, so if an attribute such as marital status has three distinct value, okay, like single, divorced, married, okay, then its test condition will produce three splits. Okay, so on the other hand, some decision tree algorithm such as CART, okay, as I told in the previous slide, okay, there is a algorithm called CART ID3 which comes under the decision tree. So in some algorithm, they will provide only binary splits. CART will support only binary split. Binary split means only two branches or outcomes. So uh, by considering all that, okay, then the binary splits will be given like this. That means what the three this figure illustrates that three different ways of grouping the attribute values for marital status into two subsets. Okay, into two subsets. But marital status is having three values: married, single, divorced. But the algorithm like CART, it will support only a binary partition. Okay, binary partition. In that case, it has to be split in this way. So married and one set will be, okay, this is one subset and this is another subset. One subset will be single or divorced. So here we are taking single, married, divorced. Marital status single, married, divorced. So it is taking by grouping the attribute values. It is a binary split by grouping the attribute values. So here, say for example, if we have k attribute, okay, in the cart, okay, k attribute, then there can be 2 to the power of k, okay, minus 1. 2 to the power of k minus 1 minus 1. 2 to the power of k minus 1 whole minus 1 ways of binary partition. Okay, ways of binary partition will be there. Next, we move on to next type, is ordinal attribute. So if you see here in the ordinal attributes, what is ordinal attribute? Ordinal attribute is a nominal attribute, but the one extra feature is that it is in order. Okay, the values will be having a order. A nominal is just a category or a name, okay, name of a variable. But ordinal means it will be category, but in category also it will be having a order, okay, order. So here ordinal attribute can also provide or produce binary or multi-way split. Ordinal attribute values can be grouped as long as the grouping does not violate the order, okay, property of all the attribute values. So if you see this diagram or a figure, it illustrates various ways of splitting training records based on the shirt size. So here we have the shirt size. Okay, when I say shirt size, it will be having three values or the four values. The shirt size can be small, medium, large, extra large, okay, like this. S, M, L, XL, like that. Okay, so here the grouping, okay, shown here is that grouping shown in this A, B, okay, preserve the order among the, okay, it will preserve the order among the attribute values. So, but whereas in grouping among the C, okay, this diagram violates this property because it combines the attribute value small and large into a same partition while medium, extra large are combined into another partition. So, if you observe this here, ordinal means it is ordered. So, here what is the split we have? Small, medium. Okay, it is in order. First, it will come in the size will be in the order like small, medium, large, then extra large. Yes or no? In this order. These two examples are maintaining that. These two examples are maintaining that. But when we take this example, it is not maintaining because it is mixed up. Okay, small and large. It is not in the order. Okay, it is not in the order. And the next, continuous attribute. So continuous attribute is that for continuous attribute, the test condition can be expressed as a comparison test. Okay, comparison test. That, let's say for example, the attribute. Okay, attribute is less than so and so value. Okay, attribute is greater than or equal to so and so value. Attribute value is greater than equal to so and so value, like this we can put the comparison test. Okay, in continuous attribute we can have the comparison test. So here you can say like with the binary outcome, okay, with the binary outcome or the range of query with outcomes of the form, okay, the set of values. Okay, so the difference between these approaches, okay, is as shown in this diagram. Okay, for the binary case, the decision tree algorithm must consider all possible splits, okay, and it selects the one that produces the best partition. Okay, say for example annual income greater than 80K. Okay, this is the test condition, annual income greater than 80K. There can two possible ways. Yes, okay, the customer is getting more than 80K, the customer is not getting more than 80K. Okay, that two split we are given. But if you want to split it in a subset, okay, so for multi-way split, the algorithm must consider all possible ranges, okay, of continuous value. So what is this? One approach is to apply the discretization strategy, okay, which we discussed in the module 2. Okay, after discretization, a new ordinal value will be assigned to each discretization interval. Okay, adjacent intervals can also be aggregated into wider range as long as the order property is preserved. So if you say 80K, okay, 80K is one value. So 80K means we can tell 10K. So we can just give the that annual income minimum is 10K, okay, and greater than less than 10K, greater than 10K. So if the range is 10K to 25, what is, okay, annual income 25K to 50K, 50K to 80K, then more than 80K. So we can give the multi split, okay, by giving the range. Okay, this is possible in the continuous attribute. Okay. Next, we move on to the second type of issue, how to determine the best split. So till now, in the previous slide, we discussed about how to specify the attribute test condition. It can be based on the attribute and it can be based on the split. Okay. So next is how to determine the best split. Okay. So how to determine the best split. So there are many measures actually that can be used to determine the best way to split the records. Okay. These measures are defined in terms of a class distribution of the records before and after splitting. So let us take P of let us take P of I T. Okay, P of IT. So which denotes the fraction of records belonging to class I. Okay, class I at a given node T. So I is a class and T is a node. Okay. So here in two class problem means what? The outcome will be having only two possible values. Yes, no. In the previous example, what the data set we taken, it is having a two class outcome, that is yes, no. Okay. That cheat person is the customer is a cheat or not. So it is having only two possible values. One is yes, another is no. So this is leaf node, right? So this we called as two class. Okay, two class problem. It will be having finally the outcome will be only either class 1 or class 2 or class 0 or class 1, like that. So here in two class problem, the class distribution at any node, okay, class distribution at any node can be written as P naught comma P1. Okay, so we can write P naught comma P1. So class distribution, I'm talking about the class distribution. When I say class distribution, it is a target variable, target value. Okay, so where P1 is equal to P1 is equal to 1 minus P naught. Okay, where P1 is equal to 1 minus P naught. So to illustrate this, let us consider this example. So here the class distribution before splitting is 0.5 comma 0.5. Okay, class distribution before splitting is 0.5 comma 0.5. What this means 0.5 0.5? Okay, class distribution before splitting. Okay, class distribution before splitting. That means what? How many records are there for class 0 and how many records are there for class 1? So here also you can consider P0 and P1 as a class only. The other way, another term we can given is a C0, C1. C0 is one class, another C1 is another class. Okay, so here the class distribution before splitting is 0.5 comma 0.5 because there are equal number of records for each class. Okay, equal number of records. So for example, C0 is also 6 records and C1 is also 6 records. Okay, C0 is equal to totally 6 records, C1 is also totally 6 records, or both having 10 records. C0 is also 10 record, C1 is also 10 records, totally 10 records, both are equal. So it is given as okay 0.5 comma 0.5. Okay, why 0.5? Because it is two classes. So 1 divided by 2. Okay, the occurrences of class 1 out of two classes, the occurrence of class 1 out of two classes. So here class 1 divided by 2, 0.5, 0.5, both have equal number of records. Okay, that is what this is. Okay, so if we split the data using a gender attribute, suppose we have have a gender. We have attribute called gender. Suppose if you want to split the data according to the gender attribute. So if the gender value is male, okay, then class 0 is having 6 records and class 1 is having 4 records. That means what? Out of 10, okay, out of 10, as I told here, C1, C0 will be having 10 records, C1 will also will be having 10 records. Okay, so for the C0, like if there is a attribute called, let us take here, okay, let us take here, say for example, here gender, okay, gender, and the class is, this is class, okay, class. So if I take male, okay, the class label may be yes. Okay, let us take C naught as yes and class label male. Okay, uh, no value like this. Female, no. Okay, class label, something we have identifying. Okay, so here gender, male yes, male no, female no. Okay, female yes. Okay, female is. So what it is saying here, what actually this means is that if the gender value is having, the gender value is male, okay, the gender value is male, then C naught is 6, C1 is 4. Okay, C naught is 6, C1 is 4 means C naught is having 6 S's, yes, okay, 6 records, 6 record is C naught and 4 records are C1. If the gender value is female, okay, if the gender value is female, if the gender value is female, then out of 10 records, 4 records belongs to the class C0 and 6 records belongs to the class C1. Okay, so like this we will be doing. So here if you take this class distribution, okay, of the this node, child node are like 0.6, okay, C naught is 0.6 and C1 is zero point 0.4. Okay, so here if you take this combination, if you take the gender is equal to male, C naught is zero point 0.6 and C1 is zero point 0.4. Okay, and then here we have like divided by 10. Okay, so the so here we have 5 by 10, 5 by 10. Okay, so equal we have taken 5 by 10, that is 1 by 2 I told. Here how we will take 6 by C naught is 6 by total number of C naught is 10. Then 4 by 10. Okay, in the case of what? Gender is equal to male. Similar in the case of female, C naught is 4 by 10, C1 is 6 by 10. So obviously it will be zero point 0.6, zero point 0.4 and zero point 0.4 and zero point 0.6. Okay, respectively. Although the class are no longer evenly distributed, the child nodes still contain records for both, but for both the classes. Yes or no? Class H is having for both the classes. Splitting of the second attribute like car. Okay, if we take the car type, okay, will result in purer partitions. Okay, this it will be having full of more of clarity. So car type, family, C naught is 1, C1 is 3. Sports, C naught is 8 and C1 is 0. Luxury, C naught is 1 and C1 is 7. So here, okay, there is no C1 class. Okay, so here to understand the purer partitions, okay, plural partitions, we have some set of measures. Okay, here customer ID we are dividing based on the ranges, value 1, value 10, okay, value 11, value 20. That means customer 1, customer 10, customer 11, customer 20. So which class that customer belongs to. Okay, so when we take customer ID will be unique. Okay, the class will be either yes or no, either yes or no, either yes or no, either yes or no, like this. Okay, so it will be in that case. Okay, so here the measures for selecting the best split are often based on the degree of the measures for selecting the best split often depends on the degree of impurity of the child node. Okay, degree of impurity of the child node. We will see in the next. Uh, okay, it depends on the degree of impurity of the child node. So the smaller the degree of impurity, the more skewed the class distribution will be. Say for example, the node with the class distribution 0, 1 has 0 impurity, whereas node with uniform class distribution, that is 0 0.5, 0 0.5, has the highest impurity. Okay, so in the previous slide I showed gender. It is gender is having zero point 0.6, zero point 0.4 and zero point 0.4, zero point 0.6. Okay, so here and if they are both the set of records, it means both the class is having equal number of records, means 0 0.5, 0 0.5. In that case, higher impurity will be there. So either 0 or 1 class class 0 is having one record and the class 1 is having 0 records. Okay, either 0 or 1 or 1 or 0, then it has a 0 impurity. Okay, because the record either belonging to this or this. Okay, so 0 impurity. Okay, so here are some of the examples of measure of impurity. Okay, so impurity measures, that is entropy, uh, Gini, or some people say it Gini index. Okay, Gini, classification error. Okay, so here where here you can see what is this. C is nothing but the number of classes and log 2 0. 1 second, I just erase it. So here C stands for class. Okay, C stands for number of classes. Okay, how many classes are there? So is it binary or it is uh, multi-level class or something? So here we have this is ith class divided by node. Okay, the test condition. So 0 log of 2 of 0. Okay, here we have minus, remember that. Okay, it is obviously 0 only. So we are taking the summation for each class here. So Gini index, Gini is 1 minus, okay, summation of for every class I is equal to 0, C minus 1. So the probability that I by T whole square. So classification error, we just take the maximum, 1 minus maximum of the two classes. Okay, so let us have the comparison of these three impurities. So here you can see one more very important, that is P. Okay, P here. So this diagram compares the value of impurity measures for binary classification problem. What is this P? P refers to the fraction of records that belongs to one of the two classes. Fraction of records that belongs to the one of the two classes. Okay, so you observe here, one thing you observe here. Okay, so P is, suppose the P is in the place, okay, P is in the place of 0 0.5. Okay, observe that all three measures, okay, all three measures, this is entropy measure, this is Gini index, and this is misclassification error. Okay, misclassification error. So all three measures attain their maximum value. Okay, attain their maximum value. So here, if you see, if the p value is 0.5. Okay, so we can observe that all three measures like entropy, Gini and misclassification error, all three measures attain their maximum value. So here this is the minimum value, this is the minimum value. Here it is starting like this, it is going here for a Gini it is going like this, for entropy it is going like this. When the p value is 0.5, okay, 0.5, it is at the peak, okay, maximum value. So if you see here, it is having a maximum value. So here maximum value when the class distribution is uniform. So zero point 0.5 means what? Okay, if the two classes are there, both are having zero point 0.5, zero point 0.5, that means equal number of records. In that case, okay, in that case, the distribution is uniform. Okay, that is when p is equal to 0.5. So the minimum value for the measure are attained when all the records belong to a same class. Okay, either the p equals to 0 or p equals to 1. So p equals to 0 means here it is there. Either the p value, that means either all the records belongs to a class 0 or all the records belongs to a class 1. So in that case it will be having the minimum values. Okay, minimum values. So we just next see the um, examples of computing the different impurity. So here entropy example I told, no, summation minus summation of p of j here taken, okay, j by t log 2 p of j by t. Okay, so here we have the class 1 is equal to 0, class 2 is equal to 6. Okay, class 1 is equal to, what is this 0 and 6 meant? Class 1 is equal to 0 means what? There is no records belonging to class 1. Okay, there is no record belonging to class 1. There is no record, means all the records belonging, if there is no record belonging to class 1 means what? Obviously it has to belong to class 2. So let me take simple table like this for your understanding. So let us say we have a attribute like this. Okay, we have an attribute like this. Then we have records. Okay, records. So if we have record like this, record 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and one more also I take 6. Okay, we have 6 records. So if I just give record 1 belongs to a class, this is class attribute. So record 1 also belongs to a class called as, record 2 also belongs to a class called as, record 3 also belongs to a class called as, record 4 also class called as, record 5 also class called as, record 6 also class called x. Okay, so all are belonging to all the record, the outcome, final outcome is yes. Okay, there is no another category called no here. That in that actually it is talking about C1 0, C2 6. Okay, so node, for the node, if the node is having the class label like this, class 0, value is 0, that means count is 0, that means no record belongs to this class. And C2, that is 6, all the record belongs to the class 2. If that is the case, how to here class is having one record. So one record means what? One of the record will be no. So no, yes or no. How many times yes? Okay, let us say that class 1 is yes. Okay, class 1 is no, and class 2 is yes. Okay, class 1 is no, class 1 is no, and class 2 is yes. Okay, so what we have discussed here in first one, class 1 is 0, that means all the class label is belonging to one particular class, that is class 2. Here class 1, in this case class 1 is that one record is having the class label n, all other 5 remaining 5 records is a class label y. So next we have class label, that is 2 records will be having the value no, and remaining 4 records will be having the value yes. So how to calculate the entropy? Entropy, the formula is this one. Yes or no? So minus summation of the probability of class I, okay, to the node T, log 2 to the probability of class I or a J to the node T. Okay. So class can be either IJ. Class I is can be class 1, class J can be class 2. Okay. So here P of C1. P of C1 is what? C1. P of C1 is equal to, okay, P of C1 is equal to 0 divided by total number of records. So let us say there are totally 6 records. Totally 6 records are there. So here not this 6, it is not this, it is total number of records. So the records belonging to the class 1 divided by total number of records. 0 divided by 6 is equal to 0 only. So coming to the probability of class 2. Class 2 is what? The number of occurrences. Okay. The number of records belonging to class 2 is 6. So what is the total number of records? 6. 6 by 6 is equal to 1. So entropy is minus, okay, minus 0 log 0. Why? Because this is class 1. Okay. And okay, this we called as a class 2. Summation, we are taking the summation of this. So class 1, class 2. So class 1. Okay, we are taking class 1 first, then class 2, class 2. Okay, class 2. So here we are taking the summation. So entropy minus, okay, we are having a minus here. So minus, so class 1, that is probability we got 0. 0 log 2, 0. Okay, then summation, that is minus into plus is minus only. So minus 1 log 2, 1. So what we'll get? Log 0, 0 log 0 is 0 only. Okay, 1 log 1 is also 0. Minus 0 minus 0 0. So 0 impurity measure. Okay, 0 impurity measure. So here we say that, as I told, if any of this it belongs to, so if it is either 0 or 1, okay, it is either 0 or 1, that means it will be having 0 impurity. And if it is belonging to 0.5 50%, it means it will be highest impurity. So if we take this, okay, if we take the same thing, if I take the probability of class 1, that is how many record is having belonging to class 1? 1. So what is the total number of records? 6. 1 by 6. Then P2 5 by 6. So entropy is minus 1 by 6 log 2 1 by 6. Okay. Minus this is summation, no? So minus into plus is minus 5 by 6 log 2 1 by this is actually 5 by 6. It should be 5 by 6. Okay, 5 by 6, then we will be getting the answer 0.65. Then next we have 2. So same thing what we do here, okay, like this we are calculating. So we'll get that in this case we are getting the value 0. In this case we are getting the value 0.65. In this case we are getting the value 0.92. Okay, 0.92, almost it is equivalent to 1. Okay. Okay, it is almost equivalent to 1. 0.92, almost it is equivalent to 1. Okay. So here what it actually tells that the minimum values for the measure are attained when all the records belonging to the same class, either 0 or 1. Okay. So either 0 or 1. So here, okay, it will be having either 0 or 1. So here we discussed how to find the impurity measure. This is with respect to. So here impurity measure we have taken with respect to all Gini, entropy, error. The formula I have shown in the previous slide. Based on that formula, it has been counted. So here you can say all is 0. Here all are having 0.278, 0.6501. Here we having the for Gini it is getting 0.5. When we apply the formula, okay, we'll are getting all this. So here this example that is in this example shows illustrate that consistency among different impurity measures. Okay, so here, if we see this, based on this calculation, okay, based on this calculation, node N1, okay, node N1 has the lowest impurity, okay, node N1 is having the lowest impurity value followed by node 2 and node 3, okay. This, despite their consistency, the attribute chosen at this test condition may vary depending on the choice of impurity measure. Okay. So here next we information gain we call it as, okay, to determine how well a test condition performs, okay, to determine how well the test condition performs, we need to compare the degree of impurity of the parent node, okay, with the degree of impurity of the child node, which is comes after splitting. The larger their difference, I'm telling you, the larger their difference, the best the better the test condition. Okay, so the gain we call it as a delta symbol is there, it is nothing but the gain. Okay, gain. So the gain is a criteria, okay, that can be used to determine the goodness of the splitting. Okay, it is used to determine the goodness of the splitting, goodness of the splitting. So the formula is given I of parent minus summation of k to j is equal to 1 n of vj divided by n I of vj. So what all this are? Where I of dot, I of parent, okay, is the impurity measure of a given node. Okay, impurity measure of a given node. This is impurity measure of a given node where n is nothing but total number of records at the parent node. Total number of records at the parent node. K is nothing but number of attribute values. K is nothing but number of attribute values. And n of Vj. This is n is nothing but total number of records of the parent node. Okay. N of Vj is nothing but number of records associated with child node. Okay. Vj. Child node Vj. Is it clear? Okay. So I just repeat once again what all these terms are. So this is information gain. It is basically used to find the goodness of the split. So I of parent, okay, I of parent is nothing but impurity measure of the given node. Okay, then n is total number of records at the parent node. Okay, k is nothing but number of attribute values. N of vj is nothing but number of records associated with the child node vj. Okay, so this. Okay, so here decision tree induction algorithm actually, okay, often chooses a test condition that maximizes the gain. Okay, test condition that maximizes the gain. Since I of parent, okay, since I of parent is same for all test condition, maximizing the gain is equivalent to minimizing the weighted average impurity measures of the child nodes. So finally, when entropy is used as impurity measure, okay, the difference in entropy is known as information gain. Okay, you can see entropy it was 0, then entropy was 0.650, then entropy was 0.92, that is 1, close to 1. Okay, so when entropy is used as an impurity measure, okay, the difference in entropy we call it as a information gain, that is delta of gain we can say. Okay, delta of info. So we can just write like this. Okay, delta of info. Okay. We move on to the next. Here we discuss how to split the binary attribute. So you can consider in this diagram, before splitting, okay, there is a parent node whose Gini index is 0.5. Why? Because you can say when the Gini index is 0.5, that means it is the number of records are equally distributed. So the class 0 is also having 6, class 1 is also having 6. So both have equal number of records, so Gini index will be 0.5. So when we take here the attribute, suppose I want to split, okay, if I want to split based on the attribute attribute A is chosen to split the data, the Gini index for the node 1, the Gini index for the node 1 is 0.4898, okay, 4898, and for the node 2 it is it will be like 0.480. So when I take the average, I'll get so node 1 is 0.4898 and node 2 is 0.480. Okay, 480 will be. So when I take the average, I'll get the Gini index of node 1 and node 2 together is 0.486. Similarly, if I take the how I'll get this Gini index average value, 7 by total number of how many records are there, 6 plus 6 12. So here how many are there, n1 4 plus 3, so 7 by 12, okay, 7 by 12 into 0.4898 plus 5 by 12 into 0.480. Okay, for individual node I have not shown you the Gini index here, so it is 0. One second, I'll write it down. So Gini index for node 1 is 0.480. This is 0.4898. This is 4898, 0.480. Okay, so Gini index. So 7 by 12 into 0.4898 plus 5 by 12 into 0.480. Totally we'll get the Gini index as average of this node 1 and node 2 is 0.486. Similarly, we calculate for the attribute B. Okay, so we'll get the Gini index 0.375. Since the subset for attribute B have a smaller Gini index, so it is preferred over the A. That means B attribute is the best splitter compared to A. So B attribute will be chosen over or preferred over the attribute A. So next we move on to the nominal attribute. So here the splitting of nominal attribute. Here if you see, okay, a nominal attribute can produce either binary or multi-way splits, as you can see in this diagram. Binary or multi-way splits. This is multi-way. This is binary. So here the computation of Gini index for the binary split is similar to what we discussed in the previous slide. Okay, that is for the binary attributes. How we do for the binary attributes we have to do in the same way. For the first binary grouping of the car type. Okay, first binary grouping of the car type. Suppose C0 is having both sports and luxury together is 9 and class 1 is 7. Okay, so here for car type, Gini index for sports luxury and sports luxury is 0. Here sports luxury, here I'll write 0.4922, 4922. So 0. This is Gini index for family. It is 0.375. Okay, 375. So if this is the case, okay, so the weighted average Gini index will be like this. Well, how we have to do this? 9 plus 7, that is 16 whole divided by 20. So 9 whole divided by 20. So because total number of records will be 20. So 9 by total number of records is 20. So 16 divided by 20 into 0.4922. Okay, 4922 plus 3, 1 plus 3, that is 4. 4 divided by 20 into 0.375. So totally we'll get, when we do, the average will be 0.6468. So similarly we do with the this part also. Okay, then we'll get 0.167 as this one, and when we do the multi split we'll get 0.163. Yes or no, for multi split. So when we consider this okay, so the second grouping as the, here when we take binary split. Okay, when we take binary split into consideration, so which is having less Gini index, 0.167, that is this split, this binary split, that is sports and family luxury. If we are splitting in this format, it is having less Gini index. Okay, so this type of partition or split will be given preference. Okay, it will be more much purer than the more pure than the split. Okay, this will be preferred, this split will be preferred. So next we have the multi-way split. Okay, multi-way split. So in the multi-way split, the Gini index computed for every attribute value. So since Gini index family, okay, is equal to, here family is let us say 0.375. Okay, here sports, let us say we are using the formula summation minus summation of c to the power of c is equal to 1 by k, the p of I of t whole power whole to the whole square. Okay, that formula we are using, then we are calculating this. Okay, this value will get. So Gini index of sports is 0. Okay, and Gini index of luxury is say for example 0. This is already calculated, that's why I'm just writing 0.19. Okay, so 0.219. So for luxury. So how will the overall Gini index for multi-value split is 4 divided by 20 into 0.375 plus, okay, 8 divided by 20 into 0 plus 8 divided by 20 into 0.219. So when we do this calculation, we'll get the value 0.163. Okay. So multi split have smaller Gini index compared to the binary split. Yes or no? Binary split. Here 0.167 is there, but here 0.163 is there. This is lesser than even these two. Okay. So even this. So here the result is not surprising because two-way split actually merges some attribute values. Yes or no? Okay, merges some of the outcomes of the multi-way split. Thus, the result is less purer subset. Here, this is having a more purer. Okay, so this is about the nominal attribute. So next we move on to the, so here continuous attribute, what we are doing here, we are consider this data set, whatever we discuss now. So here we are arranging, sorting the values based on the annual income. Okay, so 60k, 65k, then 72k, 80k. So we are arranging in the 220k. So in this annual income based, we are arranging in the or sorting in the increasing order of the annual income. This is the class. Say for example 60. So here we have 60. So class label is 20. No. Okay. Class corresponding class label is no. 70. Again it is no. Okay. Then 75. Okay. 75. No. So like this we have keep on arranging the class label based on the value of annual income. Okay. Next we will take the mid. Okay. Split position. split position. So we will be taking that less than or equal to 55 or greater than or equal to 55. Okay. So here we are taking the split position. What is this split position? How it has come means we are taking the midpoint of the two values. Say for example 55. We are assuming that previously it is 50. 50 plus 60 whole divided by 2 it will be 55. 60 plus 70 whole divided by 2 is nothing but 65. 70 plus 75 will get 72.5. We are just taking 72. 72 as the split position. Okay, 75 to 85 will get 80 as the split position. So when you keep on giving the doing this, we'll get the middle. We are just taking the split position as the middle point of among these two values. Okay, then we are checking whether it is less than or equal to or greater than or equal to this split position. And these are nothing but the class label. Yes, no. So how many records having less than or equal to 55? Zero records. No records is here in which is less than 55. How many records is having greater than 55? Obviously, three records is there. But the split is only up to the 60. Okay, that is it should be between the this value greater than 55. It is taking that three values. Okay, three. Yes label is 3. Okay, yes label is 3 and y label is no label is 7. Okay, out of this 10 records, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 10 records. How many are there? Above 55 is 3 and yes is 3 and no is 7. Okay, if you see this, we have no 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, only 3 yes we have because all other are above 55. Like this, similarly, we keep on doing all this and we will find the Gini index in the same way how we calculated in the previous slides. Okay, so here, suppose here if the brute force method is used for finding the value V to consider every value of the attribute in the node n. Okay, node n as the candidate split position. For every candidate V, the data set is scanned once to count the number of records with annual income less than or greater than V. Okay, so actually it takes a lot of time. Computationally brute force approach, if it is used here for continuous attribute splitting the continuous attribute, it will be computationally expensive because it requires big O of n. Okay, operation to compute the Gini index at each candidate split position. Okay, so since there are n candidates, the overall complexity of this task will be big O of n square. Okay, so to reduce the complexity, the training records are, okay, this is training records. Uh, the training records to reduce the complexity, the training records are sorted based on their annual income. Okay, here it is sorted based on their annual income. A computational that requires is big of n log n time. So candidate split position are identified by taking the midpoints between the adjacent sorted values. As I told, 55, 60, how it is come 60 plus 70. The midpoint of 60 and 70 is 65. So it is midpoint is given here. So, however, unlike the brute force approach, we do not have to examine all n records here when evaluating the Gini index because directly we take this and calculate, okay, of the candidate split position. For the first candidate, that is value is equal to 55. Okay, none of the records have annual income less than or equal to 55. Yes or no? As a result, Gini index for the descendant node with annual income, okay, annual income is 0. Obviously, here none of the record is having less than or equal to 55. So it is obviously 0. Gini index will be 0. Whereas here we have for greater than 55, we have class label yes as 3 and class label no as 7. So we have to calculate the Gini index. We will be getting the Gini index as 1 actually. Okay, here that is the Gini index for this particular node, the second node. The Gini index for this particular node will be 0.420. So when we calculate the overall Gini index for this candidate split, position is equal to 0 into 0 plus 1 into 0.420. That will be equal to 0.420. So how we do this? I just show this one. Okay, so here I'm just showing for this how we got this. So anyway, the Gini index for this is 0. Yes or no? 0. So 0 into, that is 0 plus 0, 0. 0 divided by 10. Total how many candidates we have here? How many records we have here? 10. So 0 into 0, this is 0. 0 into 10 is 0 itself. Yes or no? Okay. Next, what we have? The Gini index, obviously it will be 0. 0 by 10 into 0. 0 by 10 into 0 plus 10 by 10. Okay, 10 by 10 into the Gini index of this according to the formula will be 0.420. Okay, 420. When we do this calculation, 0 plus 1 into 0.420, we will get 0.420. This is the Gini index value. Okay, yes. Similarly, we keep on doing all this. Okay, we will get this Gini index value. So here, for the second attribute, similarly, for the second attribute, V is equal to 65. Okay, we determine its class distribution by updating the distribution of the previous candidate. So here, more specifically, the lowest annual income is 60K and the highest annual income is 70K. So we'll get the value 65 here. Okay, then we'll keep on doing same way in this, whatever the way we used here, we do, and we'll get the average Gini index like this for the node 1 and node 2. Okay, so like this we continue. Okay, like this we'll continue. Here we'll get 0.44. So the procedure is repeated until the Gini index values for all the candidates are computed. Okay, till 220, all the candidates are computed. Okay, then the best split position corresponding to the one that produces the smallest Gini index. That is, if you observe all this, okay, these are the split position. So among all this split position, which is having the lowest Gini index, if you see here 420, 400, 375. So when keep on going, we get to know that at the split position 97, at the split position 97, we have a Gini index 0.300, which is lowest compared to the all other Gini index. Okay, this. So this procedure is less expensive because it requires a constant amount of time to update the class. Okay, class distribution at each candidate split position. It can be further optimized by considering only candidate split position located between two adjacent records with the different class labels. Okay, so this will be compared to brute force method, this will be more effective. Okay, so this method can be used in for best splitting the continuous attribute. So next we move on to the last step, that is how to stop the split. So here, stop expanding the node when all the records belong to the same class. Okay, same class. So we can stop there. That is, leaf node can be formed. Just a minute. So here we can say that we have a annual income. Sorry, record. Let us take refund. Okay, the refund we can take. So refund when I take the node refund. Okay, when I take the node refund, so if I have that those who all do the refund yes, okay, then obviously the customer is not a cheat. So all for every value it is not cheat, so we can stop splitting. So next we have stops expanding a node when all the records have similar attribute values, and stop when the number of samples in node smaller than the threshold. So the threshold will be given. If it is less than the threshold, then we can stop. So here is the skeleton of decision tree induction algorithm. Okay, so here we have a decision tree algorithm with the name tree growth. Okay, tree growth. The input of this algorithm consists of training record, that is defined as E, and set of attribute, that is F. E is training data and F is set of attribute or attribute set. The algorithm works by recursively calling, okay, by recursively selecting the best attribute to split the data in the step 7. Okay, by calling the recursively selecting the best attribute to split the data, which is in the step 7, and expanding the leaf node of the tree in the step 11 and 12. Okay, until the stopping criteria in the step 11, step 1. Okay, stopping criteria is met in the step 1. Okay, so here we have some of the function like create node. Create node function extends the decision tree by creating a new node. A node in the decision tree has either a test condition denoted as node.test. Okay, either it will be having a test condition denoted as node.test. Okay, or a class label denoted as node.label. Okay, so it will be having like that. So next we have find best split function. Determines which attribute should be selected as a test condition for splitting the training records. Okay, then classify. We have another function called classify. So classify function determines the class label to be assigned to the leaf node. Okay, class label to be assigned to the leaf node. So for each leaf node T, let P of I by T, okay, denote the fraction of training records from class I associated with the node T. Okay, so here we'll get leaf dot label is equal to argument max P of I of T, where argument max operate returns. Okay, it will return the argument I that maximizes the expression P of I of T. So next we have one more function called stopping condition. Yes, here stopping condition function is used to terminate the tree growing process by testing whether all the records have either the same class label or the same attribute values. Okay, so after this building the decision tree, a true pruning test step can be performed to reduce the size of the decision tree. Okay, so this is about the root.